Joining us now to further discuss the war in Ukraine and Putin's latest actions is former U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine, William Taylor. Ambassador, good to see you today. Thanks for joining us. I want to get right to it. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, you just heard, said Russian President Vladimir Putin has shown no interest in engaging in meaningful diplomacy with Ukraine. You've certainly been in the kind of conversations that occur behind closed doors plenty of times. Is diplomacy between Ukraine and Russia reasonable or even possible at this stage?
Not at this stage, Alexis. It's just not at this stage. As Secretary Blinken said, and as people have observed, President Putin has no interest, has shown no interest in any kind of diplomatic movement. And President Zelensky has made it clear that he is not ready, willing to have any conversation with President Putin. President Putin has shown himself to be a war criminal. The actions that President Putin has perpetrated and sponsored and ordered by his military, atrocities, war crimes, make him unsuitable for any kind of a conversation between the Ukrainians and the Russians. So until the Russians are pushed out of Ukraine, it's going to be very, very difficult to have a diplomatic outcome.
And Ambassador, the Ukrainian counteroffensive has helped Zelensky's forces gain ground and traction in the fight against the Russian invasion. Is Putin compensating for his losses on the battlefield with harsh decisions in the Kremlin now?
He absolutely is, Alexis. That's all he has. That's all he has. As you say, he's losing on the battlefield. The Russian military is being pushed out of the north. The Russian military is losing ground in the south. The Russian military is surrounded down in the south around Kherson, and they are facing a disaster like they faced in Kharkiv, where the Russian soldiers dropped their weapons, got out of their tanks, and fled. And that's the same kind of problem that the Russians are facing down in Kherson. So President Putin doesn't have anything to say. He's losing on the battlefield. What can he do? He can lob missiles. He can lob cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, airstrikes, not on military targets, but on civilian targets, on energy systems. So this is all he has left. He's got big problems at home, Alexis. He's got big political problems, both on his right and on his left. Russians are leaving the country, and the hardcore nationalists are pushing him to do things that he just doesn't want to do. So President Putin is under real pressure.
We see that now he's declared martial law in Ukraine. That's receiving international condemnation. Why do it? What is he hoping to achieve doing this?
Of course, no one knows what's in his head, and it's only making it harder. This martial law is making it more difficult for those Ukrainians who are still in the occupied territories. That is a part of Donetsk and Luhansk and Zaporizhia and Kherson that are occupied by the Russian forces. It's just making those Ukrainians under occupation more miserable and more subject to the military pressure on them. So it is just making the Ukrainians more angry, more resistant, more ready to defend themselves. So it's not at all clear what President Putin gets out of these. He doesn't even control all of the areas that he says he's put under military rule. So right. This is a big problem for him.
So now, of course, you've worked in Kyiv extensively. You served as U.S. ambassador to Ukraine from 2006 to 2009. Can Ukraine win this war?
Absolutely. They know it. They're absolutely convinced that they'll win this war. They see how the Ukrainian military has been victorious, has defeated Russian military around Kyiv, around Kharkiv, around Izum, around Liman, and now winning down in the south around Kherson. So yes, they know they can beat the Russian military. What they need in order to do that, Alexis, is our support. They need our support on weapons and ammunition and intelligence and training and financial support. If they get that, if the Ukrainians get that, yes, absolutely, they can win.
Ambassador Taylor, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Alexis. Good to be here.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.